and welcome back. Today we are going to make the flight that I was talking about yesterday. Now we are going to use the old school flying, so now we are doing the basic stuff, like flying VR to VR stations, and I have changed my plan from yesterday. That was actually to fly to Aarhus Airport. We are going to fly to Hans Christian Andersen Airport instead. The reason for that is it would be easier for us to actually demonstrate the procedure, and it would also make the flight in a shorter manner of time, even though it's not that different whenever we are flying through one or another destination. It's just making that here we can fly just straight in and get pretty close to the airport, pretty easy. Okay, we go to SkyVector. SkyVector, I have set our flight here from Copenhagen Airport, and we're not going to take the wind as such into account for today. We're just gonna depart like we was yesterday, fly out to Trano VR station, from Trano VR station to the Odin VR station, and then directly to runway 24 at Hans Christian Andersen Airport. So it's pretty basic. What you would need is the navlog, and that is generated here, as I was mentioning yesterday. And you get some distance, and you get the magnetic headings and the track for it. It doesn't matter that much for the heading as such. More that we actually have the ability to fly from VR station to VR station. There we go. Because right now, as I was mentioning yesterday, X-Plane isn't great at displaying the stuff, because you can see that we actually have the Trano VR station that we could tune into, and it could give you the radial. So in fact, it would be easy to set that up. But to make it as short as possible, I am already running the engines. I haven't been messing with anything at all, just getting the aircraft ready, setting nav 1 here, and then it's remember to switch to nav 1, because now we are going to use DVR stuff, so we're not going to use the FMS, even though we could plan it into it for reference if we would like, but that's it's not what my main flight here is about. It is to do the basic flight, but we can do it just so we have a reference if you would like to. So just gonna set that up, execute it. Next is VPN. There we go, and it's Denmark. Here we go. Foxtrot Echo is always NDB. Here we go. So now we actually have set the main flight here. So in fact we could switch to the map mode and it would be displayed. However, that's not what we are going to use today. Today we are actually going to fly the old school VR stuff here. And what we can go in and say is that we should be flying to the Trano VR station. It gives us some different information here because it has a top of climb inserted, even though it seems pretty straight, so it actually does not make any sense that the navlog actually says that it would be different along the way. In fact, from Copenhagen to TNO, it should actually be the same more or less. So we probably be using a track of 278 or something like that, and that's why I would say for that in that case it would be nice to use another tool in order to get the correct values for your instrument. So we could set it up now, the course 1 here to the 278 as I was talking about there. Okay, and then we can release the brakes and start our taxi. But in the end, it doesn't matter that much for the main track that you are following, because you are getting to the VR station. It is just how direct the line is from Copenhagen here. So in reality, I could take our position and set a compass rose, and then actually we are texting at the same time. That's not great. Let's stop here and talk about it. You got the compass rose, probably not the easiest to see here, and then you have the directions that could also give you the information here for the direction, because Trano is out here, and can give it less information here to actually make it easier to watch. There we go. And then you can see, as I was mentioning, it's between 270 and 300 degrees that actually we got Trano from our current position. So it makes quite well sense what we are doing here. Here we go. And I apologize. But I am on a schedule right now, so I have limited time to do this recording. But it is to give you a general way of flying if you want to use the VR to VR stuff that you can be 100% certain, or nearly 100% certain, would be the same from flight to flight. Even though I know it's in Finland, they have been talking about they removed EVR stations. but it is actually where it all started out. It was with the VR to VR stuff. Okay, and this time let's just depart from runway 12 here, just to make it shorter video, and also to make it different instead of just making the same content all the time. Here we go. Here's coming up, and we could be flying here. And then we would climb up to around 3,000 feet, and then we would be doing a right-hand turn. Just like the normal procedure could be. And now you actually see here that it actually found the VR station. Now you can see that it is active. Before it didn't indicate, and it's because it was too low. That's another thing for the VR. It has the range limitation, and it depends on your height, the altitude, and distance, and then of course if it's on high or low VR, what frequency it's sending out. So here we go, just turning around. And then we can open the autopilot panel here and set the nav and altitude select, as well as indicated airspeed, as then the aircraft would climb when we engage the autopilot. There we go. And now the aircraft would try to get back on the main track towards the Trano VR station, as you can see. If I had set it for 300 degrees, as you can see right now, the aircraft would have been turning to the left to try intercept at the given heading of the track. I could actually demonstrate that here, so you actually can see what I'm talking about here. It's demonstrated here. I just have to get things straight here. Okay, and then we look down here. Let's say we should intercept at 300. As you can see, the aircraft actually says our path is now to the left of the aircraft, and that's why the aircraft flies to the left. Oh. There we go. I apologize for that. It's basically because we are not flying that high. We could actually increase our altitude here. There we go. And remember to set the altitude select button. If you forget it, the aircraft will keep climbing when you reach it. But right now you actually can see on the map, it's a very nice way of trying to understand the VR stuff, because right now you can see on the main path here, if I have been smart, I could actually have set our first waypoint to Castro and then the TNO. Let's see if that would help in the navlock. The Castrop clan. Castrop Trano. There we go. Then we could say navlock. Castrop. First off, we get this heading for that from Copenhagen, and then it would be something like the 280, and then you can see it actually switches over not sure why it actually gives us this difference here. Doesn't make any sense, because you can see from the top of descent from Trano to the top of descent, it's actually the same heading. Also, when we pass the Odin VR station and then to the main airport. .283, as you can see, that's the VAR. Or true heading, as it's named, you can see. So it should be a true heading of 283. But hopefully you can see now that the aircraft continues to fly to the left, and it would do that until I get onto the path, and then the aircraft would fly straight to actually get to that main track. So this can also be used for making offsets, as I have been mentioning before. If you need to do specific procedures, I have been doing this for some videos in the past. But now that I got your attention for this particular aircraft, I wanted to demonstrate it once again. And as you can see right now, we are following the track, and the track would actually go something like this, and not from the Copenhagen airport up to the Trano. So we actually have offset our main flight path. So in reality, it could have been smart if we had departed from runway, let's say 22 left or right, because then the aircraft would actually have departed out, and then we would have been flying more or less to try to intercept it, and then do something that would look like flying a sit-off star. So that way you actually can get it set up. But now you can see that the aircraft is actually getting pretty close to the 300 line, as you can see, and it's also shown here, and the aircraft should actually start turning soon in order to actually get on the main track up to the Trano VR station. So this can also be used when you actually should be flying to another destination, like Roskilde or something like that. Then you can do those offsets, because then you actually use the nav aids even though you're flying between the nav 8s, because you don't have the waypoints. All the small dots you got here, they do not exist in the old world of aviation, flying and such. But now you can see that we actually have captured the main track to the VR station at this particular heading for that course. But it is very important that you understand with what equipment that you actually have in your particular aircraft. In order to get the full out of your main aircraft. So now we would be flying this track until we actually get to Carenado VR station. Then let's see, 244, as you can see. And as you can see, there is no way, nowhere that it actually is telling us the same degrees 244. It's not reflected anywhere, and it's basically because there are the differences in the information plus minus 1 degree. It depends on which nav 8 it is. For the EKOD VR station, I mean, it has an offset, is it by 1 degree, so it can be a bit tricky to fully understand it. However, if you master it and you find the way, it isn't so difficult to fly. One important thing here is that now we are flying this particular track, is that you can for this aircraft press the middle button of the heading and it would synchronize with the course and the heading. It's the same. It would synchronize with our current heading, so you can press that button, and you should always do that when you get close to the VR station, because you would need to adjust your new frequency as well as all the other things. So what I could do right now is actually I could go in and say EKOD VR station tune for the nav 2. So now we actually have a record of both nav 1 and nav 2's distance. But what that makes us able to do is actually that we can set up the nav 2. So let's heading mode now as we're getting close to the Carenado VR station. Switch to the secondary, the nav 2, as you can see, and then we would set that up by the course over here, and that should be around 244, just like we are close to here. So let's try and follow that track. You have to know when you get close to the nav 1, and you can see that by the needles down here, but you also can see now they get close, and I would switch to the nav again, and the aircraft would follow our track to the EKOD VR station now, and you can see by the needle it turned around. Now the Carenado VR station is right behind us, but the nav2 is pointing towards Odin BOR station. It is a bit complex, and you really have to be aware of your current position, and that's where you have this map until you are actually quite familiar with doing stuff like this, because the benefit is right now that I can go to the low and switch over here to the ILS for runway 24. I can tune that for the nav1 now, so now you can see it's not alive because we are too far away. That's another way that you actually can be aware of if the nav 8 is actually being tracked or not. The way that you can do that is, you can see the needle here is to the right, as well as you can see this orange color. That indicates that our main nav 8 is not being tracked yet. As we're getting closer, the needle should start pointing towards the runway. And yes, you really has to be ahead of things and keep adjusting, and switch from frequency to frequency. So there are more work to it, but when you first master it, it's just as easy as anything else. Of course, I can get informations like you got down here up on our main displays if we like. However, it's perfectly fine that they are as it is, because I have the information that I actually need at the moment. You just have to switch back to nav1 when we actually get closer to Odin BOR station. But as I mentioned, it's pretty easy, because you have your map. You can see where are we. Something that pilots in reality did not have the option to. You can see we passed we got fine and actually turned a bit too late, but it wasn't that great of a deviation. Perfect would have been that we just nearly passed the Carenado BOR station and get directly onto the track. However, things are going just fine. And if you really would like to fly it the old style way, you could also go in and switch in the ADF 1 or 2 for the Fokker Echo NDB, so you could actually do the NDB approach if you do not want to do the ILS. You just simply have to go down, switch over to the ADF 2, as then it would come alive as well, but we would wait doing with that, as we actually have set it up right now to track or demonstrate where the Odin BOR station actually is. So you really have to work around inside your head what is the best for me to do right now, and switch the frequency. Say that now I'm tracking the nav1, then it would be best if I set the frequency for the NDB to the ADF2, because then I have traction of both the BOR and the NDB station on the ground. So you really have to plan ahead of your main flight, but it isn't as tricky as it might sound. It's just that you have to plan for it and make sure you are ahead of things. And now we would start our descent into Christian Andersen Airport, as we are around 10 nautical miles away from Auckland UR station, as my record is showing right now. So let's set that up and get ready for our approach, and remember to set the heading back to our current heading. There we go. And yes, of course, now it would be easy if we had an attraction of the distances. It's actually over here for the co-pilot. Doesn't seem to be on the pilot side, sadly. It could have been nice if we actually had that small panel down here as well, so we actually had a track of our nav1. You can see the distance to our main waypoint, as you can see, because right now I have the distance to the runway is around 80 nautical miles, 5 minutes, or 5.4, around 2 minutes for hitting the Carenado VOR station. So that could actually be nice if you actually had it over here as well, as then you would have the information close to you. Of course, you have the information here for the VOR2, just like you do over here as well, of course. And you can see the main distance here is updating accordingly. So you have the information, just that over here I can switch between those nav aids and actually get the information from both nav1 and nav2. And one step further would be nice if you actually had the information for the ADFs as well. So you had those informations, but yeah, that's how it is. Right now you can see that the aircraft gets a bit off track here as we actually get closer and closer. Nav 8 gets more and more sensitive, because you can see we are still on the nav mode. We can switch to the heading mode, and then we could switch our nav 8 back to the nav 1, and then we could switch over to the navigational, and then we actually have the information here, and you can see we are too high for getting onto the glide path. As you can see, glide path is below us, even though we are now tracking in for the ILS. As you can see, we are flying nicely at the moment, even though we are a bit fast, coming in hot, even too hot, we can say. There are a few methods that I can try to use here, and it is actually that I could try lowering our vertical path here. I could try to switch to vertical speeds, and then get that up and let the airspeed drops. It might sound wrong, however, when I get the airspeed down, I can actually start using the flaps, and the flaps would cause a lot of drag, and then we would actually be able to slow down even faster, and then I can switch back to the IS hold. So it is really a way of working with the main modes of the autopilot, but again, things are going fast, so you really have to do the things quickly in order to actually do as you should. and it was for the AF2. And here we pass Foster Echo, as you can see. Now we should have been at 2,000 feet, so we are high. I can switch off the autopilot and try to continue our descent. Even though in this scenario we should be doing an hold in order to try get lower, even though it wasn't that bad with the altitude. And now you can see things are going just as it should. We lowered the landing gear, and then we extend the flaps further and further, and we are slowing down just nicely. And as you can see from the pepper lights, we are nearly a bit too low now.
Glide slow, glide slow.
There you go. Get the warning.
Glide slow.
But it doesn't matter that much.
Glide slow. Glide slow.
There we go. Because now we are capturing it again, and then we don't have to overreact here. And we are just doing the visual flying here. So as you can see, if you practice it and get more and more used to it, it's just as easy flying the VR stuff. And especially now that they have implemented that you actually can go to the map mode and then just click it and set for what nav mode you want. So let's say you want it for the nav 1 or nav 2 or ADF 1 or ADF 2, so you actually don't have to mess with entering it into the radios, and that's as a nice step forward, you can say, that it actually is capable of doing that. You could say if you was lazy, it could be nice if they implemented an option, not that it should entirely do it, basically that you would set that by yourself, but it could be nice if they implemented it so you actually would be able to set that.
Glide slow.
Not sure why it actually is so sensitive for the glide slow. We are pretty nice. There we go. It wasn't the best landing, I know, and I apologize for that. But we get the job done, and we came safely here to Hans Christian Andersen Airport. And hopefully you learned something from this video. I know I'm talking a lot, but it is basically because things are happening quickly and you have to react just as quickly in order to operate the aircraft as quick as possible and get your passengers as fast and safely to your destination. And this is just the same pressure that real airliner pilots are used to, because they have a lot of pressure on their shoulders. You need to be at the destination as quick as possible. You need to be there at a precise scheduled time. You need to not delay the other traffic, and so on and so on. So there are actually a high stress factor on the pilots, because you have your main schedule that you just need to keep, but also for all the other traffic in and out of the airport. you all have to keep that schedule in order to keep the flow of the airport running as it should. And there you have it. We got to our destination. And as you can see from my previous video, I had a lot of time talking about a lot of things for explain and such. Right here, we actually did not have that much time because things are just happening and you really have to be switching frequencies and doing all that stuff. And then again, add into that I should manually adjust all the frequencies and switch the modes. I would be looking all over the place to make those adjustments, and that's why I say in reality it is a bit easier because you have the knobs that you can push and rotate and whatever you need to do, as well as you are looking where you're flying and doing things and such. It makes it a lot easier than in a desktop. But it is quite rewarding when you actually can do it. And this was just a simple way of mentioning how you actually can do it, because when you get more used to it, well, then you could perhaps start adjusting all the values for those specific things. But it was this small flight tutorial, call it whatever you like, and we forgot to retract the flaps just because I was focused on saying so many things. But anyway, I hope you have a better understanding of that it isn't as difficult to fly the old school aircraft style as it is. Of course, I also like to fly with FMS and GPS and that's basically what I normally is doing, basically because it makes flights shorter and easier, because if you should be flying those VR stuff all the time, you would be flying longer routes, because it depends on in which direction the VR station are and how far the range are for the VR station, which by that specific altitude, because you would learn that something I haven't demonstrated other than when we departed, that you did not get signal from the Carenado VR station before we actually get up to around, was it 3,000 feet. And that's basically a good reference there, that you can see that the signal, in which direction that the signal are sent, they are not sent low on the ground, so that's why you can't receive it just like you are used to when using the GPS stuff, because that works at any given altitude and direction or such, because it actually is signals for the GPS system instead of the navigates that are located on the ground. That's the main difference, that now we are relying on the ground equipment instead of just some GPS layout. And that was basically it, me talking a lot, I know, I apologize, but it is just because I have the passion for all this and want to make it out to people, and hopefully you would say, yeah, okay, let's try it out and see that it isn't as worse as you might think it is. But anyway, thank you for watching. hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.